So in this Chibi Hour, I want to talk about the hopeful future of Destiny 2, the very positive future of Destiny 2, because the recent years haven't been that great for a lot of people, including myself, because, well, there's been a very lack of content compared to some very, very awesome expansions that we've seen in the past. A great example would be the Taken King in Destiny 1, and when it comes to Destiny 2, the Forsaken expansion. I think the Forsaken expansion is where we've gotten pretty spoiled when it comes to how we expect expansions to be, but even then, if you compare Forsaken to like Beyond Light, it's very, very difficult to see like the kind of close to the Forsaken amount of content. It's kind of lacking, and Beyond Light was pretty disappointing in my opinion, but when it comes to Destiny's future, I have a lot more hope. Now, I want to make things clear, I do understand why Destiny hasn't had another Forsaken level of content, and that's mainly because Bungie left Activision. They used to have help from Activision. That's why the Forsaken expansion was made in the first place, because they had extra help from Activision, in this case of Vicarious Visions, to work on the Forsaken content. Now they're not with Activision, and they're independent, and I think that was a great idea, but that leads into a lot of issues on, well, we don't have extra help, and honestly, they even have less help for Destiny specifically, because obviously they need to work on other games as well to keep afloat as an independent company, because that's a big deal. It's tough to be an independent company. There's a reason why a lot of companies will be with companies like publishers like EA and Activision and Microsoft and so on and so forth, Ubisoft, Bethesda. Like, there's a reason for that. So when it comes to Bungie, I understand when it comes to themselves, like why they can't, but I don't think that it's impossible. I don't think that they want to keep it that way, and that's why I have a lot more hope when it comes to getting to that point of Forsaken level amounts of content or better, because they are hiring more people. That's a big plus. On top of this, they've made it very clear that they're increasing the size of their studio, and that should be done probably around Lightfall, they said. So I'm not expecting Forsaken level content until maybe even after Final Shape. So, but okay, now I'm getting off track because I want to talk about why am I hopeful about Destiny's future. I want to more specifically talk about next year, as in Witch Queen. I know I could talk about way past, but let's first talk about next year. Now, I am going to be open to say that it's still probably not going to be at the level of Forsaken when it comes to content, but I have a lot more hope in the level of content that we'll see in Witch Queen compared to Beyond Light. I know that may not sound like a great look, like a good point of view for the future of Destiny, but hear me out. When it came to Beyond Light, what did we not get? Any dungeons. We did get 2 raids, one of them being a classic from Destiny 1, which was great, but we didn't get any dungeons. One of the good things about next year is we're actually going to get dungeons. Granted, though, you have to get the deluxe edition, so money is a big factor in that if you want to experience the dungeons, but at least we're getting that if you are paying for the deluxe edition in such, which I don't want to get into why like that could be bad for people. I've talked about that in a previous Chibi Hour about the dungeon drama of the deluxe edition and why, like, I feel like people would be upset about that, why they would say that, you know, you have to get the deluxe edition. But regardless, though, having all these dungeons and God, I can't even speak. These dungeons is good. Having them now, I mean, the Bungie Anniversary, I know that I could say that that's technically getting a dungeon for Beyond Light, but I consider Bungie Anniversary a completely separate thing than, like, even Witch Queen or Beyond Light. It's just there. But that's good too. That's content to kind of hold us over till Witch Queen releases. But the main point is that we're at least getting dungeons in the next seasonal content rotation, and every single season will at least have a dungeon or a raid. So that right there is great, and that's stuff that we can definitely be farming for weapons and such in those. I just hope that the weapons will be very good in there. I think one of the the greatest ideas that they could probably do for dungeons going forward is maybe add exclusive exotics that are tied to the dungeons. Maybe armor exotics, maybe weapon exotics, something along those lines. That could be a positive thing for the grind, but that's all up to them if they decide to do that. I mean, I have my assumptions that we might see the Gjallarhorn drop in the new dungeon for the Bungie Anniversary, but I think it might be towards a story quest or something like that. But for future dungeons, that could be something to look towards. The other thing I want to talk about for a positive future is they're actually going to do something with PvP. I know that it's not as much as we would probably like. For example, we're only going to be getting one brand new map entirely next year, as in, wow, is it going to be Europa themed? Is it going to be the Throne World thing that we're getting Witch Queen themed? Like, what's the theme of it? Because regardless, though, they can't just put Europa in the Throne World in one map, so we're going to have to miss out again on a creative level. And not only that, they still haven't done like a Deepstone Crypt kind of level in space or something like that. That would be very cool as well. So it's disappointing that we're only getting one new map, but at least we're getting something compared to, well, it's been years, like Shadowkeep release kind of long since we've seen any PvP content maps. So we are getting two vaulted weapons or weapons on maps, so that's good. At least we're getting something that's being returned to us, but yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes, and if they did any big changes to the map or anything like that. I'm not expecting much. I'm just expecting that it's going to work with the upgrades of the engine like they were saying. And we're going to get a D1 classic map brought forward as well. So yeah, it's not that much, but at least it's something. And they did say that after the fact, as in most likely Lightfall, we're going to see a lot more PvP content being more consistent, like an actual schedule of what to expect for PvP content, probably like every season, having at least one or two maps, especially new maps as well. That's at least what I'm hoping for. Plus Gambit. Let's talk about Gambit. Now that's something that's not really positive right now, that not many people are enjoying, including myself, because it's a bit of a mess. There's huge metas in Gambit that makes it not very enjoyable. I know that that's kind of what the point of the mode is, but regardless, though, it definitely needs some facelifting to have a smile instead of a frown. And they are looking into that, it seems, for next year in the future for Destiny. I don't know if it's going to be anything big, but at least we have that actually being mentioned. So there's that. I don't know when it comes to strikes, like what we're going to get next year. I do understand that there have been leaks, apparently, of what we're going to be expecting. But again, I want to make it very clear that I'm not expecting that it's going to be Forsaken level of content, but it at least is going to be better than Beyond Light. That's kind of why I'm having more faith in the future, because here's the main point of what I am saying. We're going up, and it's just going up. It's not going down, it's going up. So I'm kind of expecting that when Lightfall comes out, and when we see the seasonal content from there, either we'll be seeing a lot more going up in positives and more content and stuff like that, or just a little bit at least. And then maybe in Final Shape, it'll be still doing the same thing, just more and more and more, getting better and better, and having more consistency when it comes to the content that are tied to certain areas of the game. Dungeons, raids, strikes, Crucible maps, Gambit maps, big changes, overhauls to make the game the way that Bungie would like it to be. I mean, we're going to get weapon crafting next year, and that's something that they want to evolve over time. And some people kind of look at it and go, I don't think they are, but look what they did with the Umbral system. That was a seasonal thing that they did for seasonal arrivals, and they've kept it there. Granted, though, it's been kind of mixed. Like, for example, the only time I really care about grinding, quote-unquote, for the new weapons of this season is waiting for my Tier 3 Umbrals to decrypt. that's it. Like, that's kind of disappointing. I think that they should have had the double weapon perks on the weapons also be acquired in the legend version of the Shattered Realm and the other activity that I have no idea what it's called again. That one, you know, the 6-player activity, because you don't get those, and it makes it pretty much pointless. I don't think anyone's doing the legend difficulties of those two things, at least the 6-player activity, because it's not match made. So that sucks, like, but that's something that they can definitely look into and change over time. One of the things that I think that Bungie really needs to do, at least in my opinion, is definitely look at how loot is, like how we're grinding for it. Because it is very tedious. I know, I do agree that we still need to have RNG and still have, you know, not the instant chance of getting something. But when it comes to legendary weapons, I think that there needs to be a little bit more control, especially if every season we're going to get more weapons. I think that a cool idea with the weapon crafting could be that once you get the weapon, as you get the other perks of that weapon, maybe you can level up that weapon specifically in like the collections menu of the weapon crafting, and as you level it up, if you have other versions of that weapon, you can combine it, and you can just keep doing that every time you level up that weapon in the weapon crafting, and it takes a while, but you still have to get those weapons that have those rolls or something like that, to the point where you have a weapon that has the whole list of perks that you could switch between. I don't know. Or in this case, that you could switch between perks by using the weapon crafting system or something along those lines. But you have to work for it. I think that's one thing that people are not realizing, is that you're not going to get the god roll for everything instantly. It's going to be something that you have to work for and actually still grind for those weapons. You can't just have one and go out and just start leveling it up and there you go. You have to still go and grind for those legendary weapons. The reason why I still stand by this, that legendary weapon grinding needs to be a little bit less like RNG and less tedious to try and get the perks that you want. I mean, I've gave a huge good example, which was me trying to get Uzume. All I wanted was Snapshot and Vorpal. 2 perks. That doesn't mean perfect masterwork, perfect other perks beforehand, just Snapshot Vorpal. Do you think I've gotten it? Nope. And I spent, like, I would say, I think right now I'm standing around 60 hours or more, or maybe like around like 30 hours, I would say, around there. 20 to 30 hours, not 60. But I think it's been a decent amount of time grinding the Grandmasters to try and get the Uzume to drop with those perks, and I haven't. And it's just, it's ruining my morale, because I realize that the core, you know, stats of the weapon are very close to sunset weapons, like Beloved. It just aesthetically is different, and it's not sunsetted. So it does suck. Like, it does suck trying to grind for something that isn't exotic. I do agree that exotics have to be very, very grindy. I mean, look at me trying to get Eyes of Tomorrow back then. You saw how that was. And I'm pretty sure that's going to happen again with the future raids. But I like that. I like the whole sense of making it very rare, and you may get it early, you may get it way later in the future, like I did. I do like that idea. But when it comes to legendary weapons, they definitely need to look into that, and that's why I'm really hopeful about the weapon crafting system, because even if it's not great, and it's not what we expect right away, it will get feedback. We will, Bungie will be seeing that, and they will make it better. They'll make changes. And as each expansion comes out, we'll see even more changes. I mean, I wish that I could just have a snippet of what Destiny 2 would look like at final shape or after. Just a little bit of looking at what Destiny is like then. Because I just wonder if it's going to be very, very different. We just have giant overhauls to the game that are positive. I don't know, but I'm hopeful. That's the point of this video. Hopeful in a positive way, because I think there's a lot of negativity when it comes to Destiny, because we do hate this season. A lot of people, at least. I'm not saying if you enjoy this, you're wrong, but A lot of people are just not really enjoying this season, including myself, because there's just nothing really to do. We didn't get a dungeon for Season of Lost. We have to do that with Bungie Anniversary. And we didn't get any raid for Season of Lost. We didn't get any new strikes, new Crucible maps, no Gambit. Just Shattered Realm and the 6-player activity that kind of gets stale pretty quickly. And that kind of sucks when it comes to those seasonal activities. But regardless, though, I genuinely still have hope. That's what we have right now. And there is proof that this hope will be justified when it comes to the content that we are getting next year, which is better than last. And honestly, even better than Shadowkeep. So, as long as we keep getting more and more as the years go on, I think we could get back to where we were with Forsaken level content or better. At least that's what I hope for. And even if we don't, I just would like to see some changes to Destiny, make it more enjoyable. And I think that's what Bungie wants to do regardless. They don't want to just have Destiny fall. So, I want to know your thoughts though. Like, do you agree? Do you disagree? And tell me why. Like, are you hopeful about Destiny's future? Like, what do you think that Destiny would need to do to make it the perfect Destiny for you? Like, what would they have to do each year? Like, what in that time period of an expansion in the seasons, which is basically like a year, what would you want them to have in that span of the year? Like, how many strikes? How many Crucible maps? What would they have to, how many of this? How many of that? Like, how many new this, new that? And what kind of changes should they do? Just let me know. I want to hear. But regardless, though, thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a chibi-tastic night, evening, night, wherever you are. And I'll see you in the next video. Chibi out.